Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Transformers deck building game. This is for the Clash of the Combiners. So in previous sets, the Dinobots set actually, Rise of the Dinobots, we had Devastator, our first big combiner. This is going to add 6 more, 3 for Autobots, 3 for Decepticons. This is definitely cool because everyone's like, oh, I loved him. Like now I get a bunch of these other cool characters. So we'll go through this box set as well as the promo pack as well. We'll do that at the end of the video. So what are the combiners? So basically here's the thing. The combiners are these big giant oversized cards compared to a regular card. That generally function the same as any other character card. They're going to have the combiner side and the team side. So yeah, they're gonna work just like your regular characters. Other than that, so your just want to make sure I say this correct. Any reference to bot mode also combines combiner mode. So your combiner mode is your regular bot mode, your transform mode where they're going to be able to stand up and attack, and your alt mode, which is usually your vehicle, is instead your team, which is made up of the 5 to 6 guys that build up the giant robot. And then they have all their other different abilities and all that too. So other than that, they're going to play basically the exact same way. The other thing that is different is they each have their own set of starting cards. We saw this with Devastator on the other box. So for my Courage cards are all going to get replaced by 5 brand new Courage cards. So each one gets a little bit different ability, which is their team built up. So it's kind of a neat way to represent those guys in there. There are some other new cards we're going to look at as well, but we got our big giant standees. Just to show how big they're actually going to be. That's double-sided, so that would actually take place of how big the actual characters are. They're really cool. So let's go ahead, jump in, and start looking at these cards. Alright, let's see if I can zoom up a little bit. So we're going to start with our Autobots. And we have Superion. Superion? This is combiner form. So he does have 1 move, 1 energy, so he gets some little bit extra stats. We have start of turn, lose 1 energy. If you cannot flip this card to team mode, target card you control play has +2 powers. So all combiners have this beginning ability. At the start of your turn while you're combined, you have to spend 1 energon to keep them combined. And this is just a penalty to having combiners. So they're a little bit more powerful, but they have that constant ability you have to be doing. So now in his special ones, and then after that he has his regular. His target card you control has, with play, has +2 power. For 1 energon, +2 power at 0 range, or draw 2 cards and discard 1 or the other. And if we flip him over, we get his team of different characters. We'll look at their cards in just a second here. He has Flight. The next time you convert this turn, lose 1 energon, if any. You may access team effects on your starter cards. So the back sides are going to basically be the exact same for every single combiner card. So if I'm playing my starter cards, I only gain the ability if I'm on the team side. So that's what makes their Courage, their starter decks, a little bit different, because they only get to use those bonuses while they're in the team mode. Versus the regular characters have their effects all the time with their Courage. They can use it whenever. So again, it's that kind of like risk reward type thing. They gain a lot more different abilities when they're in team mode versus a regular robot. When they get bigger in their combiner form, they gain some extra, a little bit extra stats and stuff. But they're constantly to suffer some of the losses, because every time you convert, whether it's you're spending 1 to convert, or you play a card that converts, you always lose 1 extra energon if you have 1. So it costs you, no matter what, 1 to flip them, and then 1 at the beginning of every turn. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and look at their starters. Zoom in on these guys a little bit. So we have Silverbolt. Team, other courage cards you have, you play have +1 power when buying maneuvers. And then if you're in combiner form, you can confront for +2 power. So you can see now they have specific abilities for which mode you're in. And at the bottom it'll tell you which one it belongs to. So you have Slingshot, who has team +1 range, or combiner +2 power. Air Raid, team +1 power when battling robots, or combiner +2 power. It looks like the combiner is pretty much the same for all of them. Firefight, team, when you defeat an adversary, you may destroy one non-basic card you control. And then we have we have Skydive, team +1 move and flight. So it looks like all of the courage cards just provide you with 1 energy, and their combiner energon ability is a +2 power. So that's the same for every single one. What is also nice though is that the starters for each one have different abilities. So Superion and Mensor or Bruticus or Computertron, all the different ones are gonna have different abilities. So it's not like I'm just swapping out like the combiner starter set for another starter set, which makes them just that much more cool, right? All right, so let's look at our next one. We'll have to zoom back out a bit. So we have Computertron. At the start of your turn, lose 1 energy. Yep, so each technology you play has +1 power, or 1 range, or 1 move. So he's going to boost your technology. Don't discard cards in your hand during the next end of turn phase, or gain 1 technology card in your space and put it in your hand or on top of your deck. So he's going to basically play with the technology aspect. And if we flip him over, we have our team cards. Let's see who's all part of this team. We have Scattershot. Other courage cards you have +1 power when buying technology. So we had one with the other character that did maneuvers. This one's going to do technology. Strafe, +1 power when battling robots. Nose Cone. You may peek at an adjacent card. Afterburner, when you defeat an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. And Lightspeed, +1 move. So some of them do have overlapping abilities, but that's just because there's only X number of abilities you can obviously do. So very interesting. All right, then we have our third Autobot. We have Victorion, which is interesting that they all end in the Ryan name, or the Ron name, like kind of interesting they just did that. So adversary player pays 2 more power to buy cards or battle robots in or adjacent to your space. So you're protecting stuff. Other characters in your space discard 1 non-basic card or gain 1 damage, and gain 1 relic in your space. Ooh, gaining a relic, that's pretty crazy, right? And then we flip it over, we see his other side. So he's a little bit different because he has 6 guys instead of 5. So he's going to gain an extra card that other characters don't gain. So he kind of gets a little bonus there, which is fun. So we have Pyromagna. Other courage cards you play have +1 power when buying robots. We have 1 for technology, 1 for maneuver, and 1 for robots. Jump Stream. Next time you are ambushed by an adversary robot this turn, you may teleport and avoid it. Gust Up, +1 power when battling robots. Storm Clash. When you defeat an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. Skyburst, who just has block. And then Rust Gust, who has 1 move. So yeah, very cool. They're all fairly different. Alright, let's hop into our Decepticons. Here we have Mensor. You guys looks badass, right? Pay 3 less power to defeat robots. If the cost is 2 to 3, destroy it after gaining the reward. Destroy 1 card you control or in your discard pile, or gain a card with the cost of 2 or 5 from the destroyed pile. Nice. So you just basically destroy cards and you can get them back. That's pretty cool. Flip it over and see his full team. And let's see who's on that team. We have Motor Master. You may discard 1 starter card to give another Wrath card you control plus 2 power. Dead End. Plus 1 power on battling robots. Wild Rider. When you defeat an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. Drag Strip. Plus 1 move. And Breakdown. You may peek at an adjacent card. Our second Decepticon combiner, Bruticus. Damage you control does not trigger the end of game unless solo. Nice, basically avoid damage cards. Drop the 2 damage cards you control to the stack, or give 1 damage to target player in your space. Draw 1 ruin and place it in an empty space in the matrix. Gain the reward as though you cleared it. Cool. This is actually, I find this very fun. He gets to play around with damage cards. Anytime you have a character that's to do something a little bit different, even maybe risky, it's kind of fun. Ruins were introduced in one of the last sets. We'll go over them again, but basically, Ruin is a new card type. The quick ruin is just when you defeat an adversary, you put a Ruin card in. They basically block the space from refilling, and then if you can get rid of it, you can gain a reward. That's a simple note. We'll look at them a little bit later. There's his badass team. So we'll see who's all on there. We're gonna start with good old Onslaught. Other Wrath cards you have plus 1 power when buying robots. Vortex, plus 1 power when battling robots. Brawl, when you defeat an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. Blast Off gives you plus 1 range. And Swingle, you may swap 1 starter card in your hand for 1 in your discard pile. Nice, so he works with that ability to manipulate his discard. Cool. And then our last combiner, at least until we get to the promo pack at the end of the video, is the Predaking. If you flip an adversary face up, plus 1 power, and you avoid the ambush. Peek at 2 adjacent cards. If either an adversary, you may flip it face up, and plus X power, max of 3. Cool. So basically, he just kind of uses his ability to like hunt around for what he's looking for. Be a predator, if you will. The king of them, even. Alright, so he's got some cool animal ones. So we're going to get Razor Claw. Plus 1 power when battling robots. Dive Bomb, which gets us plus 1 range. Rampage. When you're defeating an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. Headstrong. You may discard 1 starter to gain 1 Energon. Oh, that's fun. Discard your starting cards to gain your Energon to help keep you transformed. And then Tantrum. Pay 1 Energon to gain 1 power. Oh, neat. Or do that with that extra power you just gained. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a very neat idea that these combiners get extra starter cards, so each one plays a little bit differently, but they kind of have their handicap as well. The cards can only be used in certain modes, and they have my brain just kind of dropped for a second. And then they have the pay the Energon cost. So, alright, we're going to hop into all the regular cards. I'm going to move my camera down a bit so you don't have to zoom as much. Alright, so we're going to head to our regular main deck cards. We're going to start with our brand new Autobots. We have Nightbeat. You may peek at a card in your space, or the top of any deck. Discard the top card target player's deck. I love these effects because it's any deck. So you can look at your deck. You have a teammate. You can look at their deck, look at the opponent's deck, look at the main deck to see what's coming up next. And then discarding again, top of a player's deck. Look at your teammate's deck and be like, oh, he has a starter card coming. Let me discard. Opponent's deck. Oh, he has a really good card. Discard it. So it kind of works really neat when you're playing them different modes. Brainstorm, who has Flight. The next time you play a technology, other character in your space gain 1 damage each. Put 1 technology from your discard pile in your hand. Yeah, so basically you can like play him, do damage to characters, and get your card back. Very cool. Roto Storm, Flight, and Block. When you flip an adversary face up in your space, character in your space may avoid the ambush. And then assist is +2 power. And our final Autobot is a Protectobot. Hotspot. Block, draw 1 card. Next damage you gain this turn. Turn the next damage you gain this turn to the stack. Cool. So I always love when we get the little keywords because it's like little team themes are really fun. I find that really awesome. I hope we get more. We have Block, who's a Terrorcon, who has Block. Other robots you control have +1 move. Snaptrap, who's a Seacon. There's a lot more Decepticon, little mini teams than there are Autobots. Pay 2 less power to defeat an adversary robot. Destroy 1 card in your discard pile. Singer's Swing is another Terracon. Block to gain 1 energy. Confront or assist to gain 1 power. Hunger is another Terracon. Who has, when you clear a ruin, this card gains +2 power. And you can clear ruins. So cool. So some of these you can see like this, who has the ability to clear ruins, only gonna work if you're using ruins in the game. There are 2 sets of ruin decks now. I realistically don't see any reason to never not use them. I think they add a fun mechanic to the game. Alright, let's look at our next bunch of cards. We have some technology. We have 2 copies of Power Amplifier. Gain 2 energy. If you're in alt mode, gain 3 instead. Target card on this one you control has +2 power. 2 copies of the Stormfall Sword. Confront +1 power, or target adversary in your space gains 1 damage if they control 2 or fewer damage. 2 copies of Team Effort. These are maneuvers. We only get a couple of each in this because it's a little expansion. Flight. Assist. After this battle, you may discard 1 card to return this card to your hand. And assist 2. 2 copies of Combine and Attack. You may convert. If you convert to bot mode this way, gain 1 energon, and this card has +2 power. So this is really good for the combiners because you forcefully convert to your combiner form, which is also your bot mode, and you gain 1 energy. But then that basically energy is lost anyhow, right? You spend 1, you do it, and you gain 1 right back. We have some new allies. We have 1 copy of a Rust Giant, who's a robot ally. When battling during your turn, you may play 1 energon to play the top card of your deck. If you do this during a confrontation, discard this card. And we also have 1 copy of Mistress of Flame. Target robot you control during your turn has +1 power. Discard this card. Target robot you control has +4 power instead. Very fun. And then we have 1 new sight here, the Moonbase 1. Avoid reveal attacks and ambushes from adversary bosses. Your cards have +1 range. Pay 1, move to any, teleport to any space. And then we have Dark Mount. Start your turn. Ignore starter turn effects that resolve after this one. Pay 1 energon. Give 1 damage you control to another player who has 3 or fewer and they gain it. So combiners all have start of your turn, lose 1 energon, otherwise flip to team mode. You play Dark Mount, you don't have to do that anymore. I think you spend that energon that you didn't waste on discarding to deal 1 damage you control to another player is 3 or fewer. So that's actually a pretty powerful card. And we have 2 relics. You have the Spark of Combination. You may convert. You may discard any robot you control. For each you discard, gain +3 power. Team effects on your starters are active in combiner mode. So that's pretty cool. If you get this out, you can really utilize your combiners. And then the Chimera Orb. Gain energy equal to the power on a card in your space with +1 power, then destroy that card. Gain 1 energy, 1 card that costs a 2 to 5 from the destroyed pile. Pretty neat. Alright, so then we got our last bunch of cards we're going to go through here. So up next, we have the ruins we've been talking about. We have 3 copies. They have, the back actually says ruin on them, so they can be set aside. You shuffle them up, you don't know which ones you're going to get. But yeah, so basically the way these work is when you defeat a boss or an adversary, you put one of these in play instead of replacing it, and it takes up the field. And there are 10 total in your deck, so you can either play with this one or one from the other set. Like I said, I don't think there's any reason to not include these in every game, because they're going to add that. Maybe the first couple of games you're still learning, you don't want to, after you learn how to play. Add these in because you're just going to cause that extra little disruption to the game. What's this? Like, load of scrap. We have 3 copies. It says, when revealed, characters in the space must move to an adjacent space. So it kicks them off that space. Ongoing, pay 1 move to move into this space. You cannot teleport into this space. Pay 2 move to clear this ruin. So basically, you have to spend extra move to get through the load of scrap to get on this ruin. Pay 2 to clear it. When you do, you gain 2 energy. But now that space can get reformed. So besides the fact that they'll take up spaces on the board, so no more cards will get played on there, which, of course, what happens when you can't play new cards is bad things happen. Like the boss, you start to lose the game quicker, right? So, yeah, the other thing is, if you can't buy more cards can't come onto the deck, you can't refill the board, trigger stuff. Also, if you ever have all of them out, except for the couple in here that say they can't be cleared, you automatically lose the game. So it also gives you something else you have to, like, work towards. We have 3 copies of Crushed Metal. Reveal character in a space must move to an adjacent space. Ongoing, when you move onto the space during any player's turn, discard 1 non-damaged card. Pay 3 power to clear, gain 3 ruin. So they all have, more or less, you have the same reveal effect. It kicks you off that space, but they have different ways to get on there. We have 2 copies of Blind Hazards. Reveal, move to an adjacent space. Ongoing, when you move onto this space during any player's turn, resolve an ambush. Pay 4 power to clear, gain 4 energon. Then we have 1 copy of the Radioactive Zone. Reveal and start of the turn, characters in the space gain 1 damage. So this one doesn't kick you off, but it's going to hurt you every turn. Ongoing melee, move onto the space with flight or teleport. And then pay 5 power to clear this ruin. And then the last one is we have the Impenetrable Debris. Reveal, characters must move to adjacent space. Ongoing, characters cannot move or be moved by another effect onto the space during any player's turn, is not clearable by any effect. So if the other 9 of your 10 cards are all out, you have only 9 of them, you automatically lose the game. So if you don't eventually get rid of this stuff here or there, like you can probably let a few build up, it's not going to be good for you. I also like the fact that something like this, which is I think very much like they're kind of doing with the damage cards, where they add new ones every set or every couple of sets, is because it gives you more options. So some of these I think are repeated from the last one, but I think there's some different ones as well. So you could kind of mix and match some of them up. Like there's 3, 3, and 2 and 2. If the other ones have a couple, you could take out like some of your duplicates and add some different ones. So that way you could maybe eventually have 10 completely different ones. But they only want you to have 10, I think, just because if you have too many, you'll know, like, it'll take longer for it to empty out, and the time just real the time limit. But it could be interesting. All right, then the next new card, we have 5 copies of our brand new damage cards. As I just said, I love these because almost every set had a new set of damage. The original ones were just very basic. Big damage, just hindered you. If you had 5, you lost the game. Or did bad stuff, depending on which mode you were playing. Now all the newer ones keep adding different effects, which I think make the game more interesting. You don't know what type of damage you're going to take, so it's harder just to be like, oh, it's a damage card, it's just a useless card in my way. Now it's something you actually have to deal with. So we have Overclocked. Ongoing, start of your turn, if you are in bot mode, discard 1 non-damage card. It does not stack. End of the game, for every 2 damage you own, lose 1 VP. 1 getting put into play. So this thing now sits in play, versus some of them go back in your deck, some go in your hand. It makes for a very interesting dynamic, because you don't know where they're going to be or what they're going to do. Very cool. Then we have our cooperative scheme cards. We have Sea Spider. Ongoing, adversary robots cannot be battled and do not trigger ambushes. To thwart, contribute 1 non-starter, non-basic card, plus 1 additional card for each player in the game. You may only contribute 1 card per turn. So this is going to take a little while to defeat. Slicer Invasion. Reveal and start your turn, gain 1 damage. Other characters on or adjacent to your space also gain 1 damage. To thwart, destroy or return to the stack at least the last damage your team controls. This scheme cannot be thwarted the same turn it's revealed. Bad Combination. Reveal and start your turn. Place all robots in the matrix under this card. Ongoing, adversary bosses cost 1 more power to defeat for each robot under this card. To thwart, pay 2 power plus 2 additional power for each robot under this card. Gain 1 non-adversary card under this robot. Definitely fun. Fractured Minds. Ongoing, when you gain plus 1 damage, lose 1 energon. Then you must convert to alt mode. If not already in that mode, pay no extra costs. To thwart, contribute 2 cards with the text you may convert for each player in the game. And then finally we have When Giants Collide. When you move into an adversary, gain 2 damage. If you defeat an adversary while in bot mode, place a +1 token on this card. To thwart, have 3 +1 tokens on this card. So yeah, you're going to take damage when you get in there, but then you have to keep defeating them. Awesome. And then we have our bosses. So we have our Autobots. We have our level 1 Chromia. On reveal, attack, gain 1 damage. If you're in this space, gain 2 damage instead. Ongoing, cards adjacent to this card cost 2 more power to buy or defeat. You cannot block attacks from ambushes. Thunder Clash. Reveal attack, discard 1 non-starter, 1 non-basic card, then resolve an ambush. Ongoing energon abilities cost +1 energon to activate. Optimus Maximus, which I believe is his combiner mode. Which is really cool. Like they had some combiner bosses in here. Attack, discard all allies you control and gain 1 damage, then discard 1 starter. Ongoing, you not play a card with the same card type as another card you played during this turn, except for starters and damage. And then we get a 4th one, big giant wave of Volcanus. Which is really fun. This is the Dinobots combiner. So it's really neat. They're showing some more of the combiners, because it's like they could potentially do another set later on with more combiners, which would be really cool. Reveal attack, discard all allies you control, then gain 2 damage. Start of your turn, all adversary characters in your space gain 1 damage. And ongoing, Volcanus goes costs 1 more power to defeat for each adversary card not in this space. And we have our Decepticons. We have Dreadwing. I'm trying to think, is Dreadwing also a combiner? I think he's the 2-part combiner. He has a front and back. I think it's, if I remember right. Reveal attack, discard 1 card if you're in the space, discard 2 cards instead. Start your turn, swap Dreadwing with another card in the matrix occupied an adversary character who must then resolve with ambush. Oh, he's gonna move around. That's really fun. Battle trap. Reveal attack. Discard the top 2 cards of your deck, then gain 1 damage, resolving ambush. Start of your turn. Discard 1 random card and draw 1 card. If you discard a damage, also gain 1 damage. Oh boy, right? Really? Random and gain. Ugh. Gross. We have Abdominus. Reveal attack. Discard 1 ally and gain 1 damage. Then destroy all face-up non-boss cards adjacent to this card. Start of your turn. Reveal 1 face-down card adjacent to this card space. If it is not a boss, destroy it and replace it with a ruin. If no cards are destroyed this way, gain 1 damage. And then finally we have Monstructor. Reveal attack, discard 1 ally you control and gain 2 damage. Then flip all face-down cards adjacent to space up. Start your turn, gain 1 damage. Ongoing, cost 1 more power to defeat for every 2 face-up cards adjacent to this space. Oh boy. So yeah, very, very tricky to fight. Alright, yeah, so that was our Clash of the Combiner set. Yeah, so some really neat stuff if you really like the Combiners. It's always one of the things with these expansions, even if you're not like a fan of the Combiners, you don't want to have that extra thing you use or play like the big cards. All the rest of the cards are great, right? You have the ruins, you have the damage cards, you have your new Autobot technology, all those regular main deck cards, new bosses. There's some that you might need to take out if you're not going to use ruins or you're not going to use Combiners because some cards specifically work better with them. But yeah, again, even if you don't like the main characters, the other cards are probably worth it as well. Alright, then the last thing we're going to look at is our promo packs. So, if you're not familiar with how these promos work, is Renegade Games, who does all of these Transformer, G.I. Joe, Power Ranger games. Whenever you pre-order a pack, you usually get a bonus pack of cards or bonus something with it, depending on the game. Sometimes they're alt cards, sometimes they're new cards. Transformers, they tend to always be new cards and new main characters to play as, which are always fun. Obviously, if you're picking up this game at this point and watch this video, you can no longer pre-order it. They do come available in the store later, usually for about $5 a pack. So if you are going to, in the future, get into this game and keep buying it, I would recommend trying to pre-order, because then you get that $5 pack for free. It usually offsets if you could say, well, I could buy it at another store cheaper. Right? You probably could, but then if you want to come back from this promo card, now you're paying $5 for your promo cards, plus shipping unless you buy a bunch at once, but it'll eventually offset itself. Yeah, if you're going to get it anyhow, support the parent company, the game company, as well as, as well as getting to get some free cards out of it. Alright, so back camera up, look at, we got our brand new one. So what's cool about this is because we had Devastator in the Dinobots set, so now it's just Defensor, which brings us back to the same amount of combiners. So there's, 4 for each. So he has character in your space, avoid ambushes during your turn. Target character in your space returns 2 damage to the stack. Redirect attacks target player to any other player. Cool. So Defensor is defending. He's healing, which definitely makes sense, right? And there's the backside. All his buddies. And then we will look at his other cards here. Oop. I always hate when my camera does that. Alright, we'll just move this down. And instead of the bottom there is going to say promo, so you can make sure. We have his starter cards. We have Hotspot. +1 power when battling robots. First aid. You may return 1 damage controlled by a target player in your space to the stack. Streetwise, you may peek at the card in your space. Blades. When you defeat an adversary, you may destroy 1 non-basic card you control. And Groove. You may discard 1 non-starter card and gain 2 Energon. Cool. So yeah, this is really neat. You can get some extra cards, a little bit of healing. I like that each character plays just different enough with their starters. The only downside I think is not because of this set, but I don't think that I forgot his name, Devastator. I don't think he had card names on the bottom, because I think at the time maybe they hadn't planned on doing more than just him, but maybe they're like, oh, he was really popular, so they decided to make another set. Don't know how far out and they do these things in advance, not sure. Alright, that is what we have for Transformers. Card games in disguise. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye.